In this video, we'll have a refresher of how to find the zeros of a polynomial and how to solve polynomial inequalities. So polynomial functions can most times be factored to find the zeros. Sometimes this is straightforward as a function that's a quadratic, as our previous video, or a polynomial with 4 or more terms that can be factored by grouping. So here are a couple of examples. The first one here is not a quadratic, but it is what we call quadratic in form. So what we're going to do is let we're going to make a substitution, and we're going to let u equal x squared. And when I do that, this becomes u squared minus 8u plus 15 equals 0. So this is a polynomial of degree 4. We know that the two numbers that multiply to 15 that add to -8 are -5 and -3. And so we get two answers for u. But remember, u is x squared. So we get x squared is 5 and x squared is 3. And so we get x equals plus or minus root 5 and plus or minus root 3. So remember, when you take the square root, when you put that square root into the equation, you have to remember to take both the positive and the negative root. So in this case, we got 4 answers. In this next example, we have 4 different terms. And in this case, we're going to try, it doesn't always work, but we're going to try to factor by grouping. So we're going to group those first 2, and we're going to factor out of those 2 a 2x squared. And that's going to leave me with a 2x plus 1. You'll notice in the next 2 that I could factor out a -1, and that's also going to leave me with a 2x plus 1. So now, of those terms, I notice that this 2x plus 1 is common, so I'm going to factor that out, and I'll be left with 2x squared minus 1 equals 0. At this point, we can use the zero product property. 2x plus 1 equals 0, so x is -1/2. This will give me 2x squared equals 1. X squared equals 1/2, or x is positive or negative square root of 1/2. And if I rationalize that, root 2 over 2. So in this case, we got 3 answers. So those 2 would be pretty straightforward. Sometimes, if we have a polynomial of higher degree, we have to use synthetic division to find the zeros. So just as a refresher for synthetic division, we want to make sure that we have all of our terms here, no missing terms, and we're only going to write down the coefficients. So we're going to write down 3, 11, 8, and -4. And I notice this goes x cubed, x squared, x, and no x's, so I don't have to have any zeros there. And I'm going to put a big L, leaving space below those numbers because I'm going to need to write other numbers there. So if I'm dividing by x minus 5, I want to put 5 out front. And the way we do synthetic division is we bring the 3 down, then we multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. That's going to give us 26. 5 times 26 is 130. That's 138. 5 times 138 is 690. And adding, we get 686. So these numbers here are the quotient and the remainder. So the quotient here, we could factor this polynomial as x minus 5, and then 3x squared plus 26x plus 138 plus our remainder, which is 686. So if I wanted to do the same thing, 3, 11, 8, -4, and I want to divide by x plus 2, then I'm going to put a -2 out front. So I'm going to bring my 3 down. -2 times 3 is -6. That gives me 5. -2 times 5 is -10. Adding, we get -2. -2 times -2 is 4, and adding, we get 0. So in this case, we have the factors x plus 2 and 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. So remember, this second piece, this piece here, is always going to be 1 degree less than the polynomial that you started with. So what do these results mean? Well, if our function was f of x equals 3x cubed plus 11x squared plus 8x minus 4, and I plugged in the function value at 5, you can see that I would get 3 times 125, 11 times 25, plus 40, minus 4, and we get 686. Well, that's the remainder there. And so that particular idea there is called the factor theorem, or the remainder theorem, that says if you wanted to find a function value, you can perform that synthetic division and just look for the remainder. Having said that, with a remainder of 0, that means that we're going to have an actual 0 of the function. So let's see, f of -2 would have been 3 times -8 plus 11 times 4 minus 16 plus 4, which is 0. And because we don't have a remainder, we're able to factor that. So that's really what we're looking for, is that when I do the synthetic division, I get a 0. Just as a reminder, if you're missing a term, make sure that you put zeros in. For example, if you were dividing x cubed minus 4 by x plus 1, you would set this up as 1 for x cubed, 0x squared, 0 x's, and then -4. And you're dividing by x plus 1, so you put a -1 out front. So how do we know, if we have a polynomial and we're looking for the zeros, what numbers we should even try for our synthetic division? Well, that's called the rational roots theorem, and it says that if you have a rational root, it will be of the form p over q, where p are factors of the constant term and q are factors of the lead coefficient. So for this example here, p would be factors of our constant, so 12. So we could have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. And our q values would be factors of our lead coefficient, which in this case is just 1. I should note that that's positive and negative, all of these, because you could have +1 times +12 or -1 times -12, and the result would give you that 12. Okay, so what we want for the things that we should try in our synthetic division is every possible p over q. So in this case, 1 over 1, which is 1, 2 over 1, 3 over 1, 4 over 1, 6 over 1, and 12 over 1, and of course positive or negative each one of these. So that means if I was looking for the zeros, for the real zeros, or rational zeros, of this polynomial, there would be no reason for me to try anything except a number that was in that list. So I know right away that 7 is not a 0 of this polynomial because 7 is not in that list. So in this particular case, let's take a look. If I use I'm going to just go ahead and start with 1 because I always start with 1. I'm going to put my coefficients in here, 1, -2, -11, and 12. And I'll bring my 1 down. 1 times 1 is 1. Adding, we get -1, -1, -12, -12, and then 0. So that's what I was looking for. I got very lucky on my first try. Sometimes that doesn't happen. And that means this will factor as x minus 1, and then the remaining factor of x squared minus x minus 12, which can be further factored as x minus 4 and x plus 3. And so if I'm looking for the zeros, my zeros are going to be 1, 4, and -3. So we got kind of lucky there starting with the 1. If I had tried something else to get started, maybe a 2 or a 3, it wouldn't have, well, yeah, they would not have worked. If I had tried a 4 right away, that would have worked. But the idea is there's only 6 numbers here, positive and negative both. If I was looking for these roots, I would really, at a maximum, only have to do this 12 times. 6 and then 6 negative ones, 6 positive and 6 negative. How would we have dealt with this if it were an inequality? Well, really no different than if it were a quadratic inequality. Once this is factored, x minus 1, x minus 4, and x plus 3 greater than 0, I get my critical points, which are 1, 4, and -3. And I'm going to put those on my number line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, -3. This is strictly greater than, so I'm going to put open circles here. And then I'm going to find my intervals. So -infinity up to -3, -3 to 1, 1 to 4, and 4 to infinity. I'm going to test some value in each interval. So in this interval, I'm going to test -4, and I'm going to plug it into this factored form. So -4 minus 1, -5. -4 minus 4 is -8. -4 plus 3 is -1. And we get a -40 for the result, or more importantly, a negative result. So you might take a moment, pause your video, and find a point in the other intervals. I'm going to test 0, 2, and 5. So pause your video. So here are my results. My intervals were negative, positive, negative, and then positive again. And they don't always alternate, so be careful there. And then our solution is anything that's greater than 0. So that's going to be these two intervals. -3 to 1, union 4 to infinity. That concludes this video on polynomial equations and inequalities.